Hey, Retcon Raider here, and welcome back to the Alpha for Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today we wrap up a quick loose end on the lower deck and then delve back into deep space. Who knows what other hazards and horrors await us out there. I mean, we've got a vague idea, but half the fun is diving in head first. That said, let's have a quick peek at what people were getting so steamed about, and then we'll push on. Mel to charge, bottles of rot gut, and a corrupted psi focus, which I believe is a heretic trophy. So it makes sense that someone would hide that here. Even the rot gut is contraband, but the trophy, that does make me wonder if things might have changed had we found that before we confronted the strikers. Though no, that wouldn't work, because we couldn't activate the steam vents, or the steam valves, until we got to that, which was behind the strikers. So it is actually impossible to find that stash until you've already dealt with the strike. Interesting.
It's about time.
Well, regardless, let's head up top. We've got some colony business to take care of real quick. And then we're getting a little warped. Hey, Ellie. What's up, baby? She's just watching. No, we are not visiting this sector. We need Telecos Epsilon. Also, I did think about hitting Cradle of Kepri, but that is a highly dangerous warp route. So I'm thinking we'll hold off on that for now. We could reduce the danger, but we're not exactly swimming in insight. So I think we'll wait until we either find a safer route, or until we've stockpiled at least 10 points. For now, we'll just head north, or space north. Since, like I said, we have to visit Telecos anyway. We'll explore some safer routes, stockpile points, and hopefully find some interesting encounters. Alright, Janus. Now we need to stop by here because we can actually do one of the projects. This one, a cure for sloth, which requires 5 chemicals and minimum 2 security, both of which we have, and nets us +3 efficiency for all colonies, as well as a slight bump to profit factor, which obviously we want. A cure for sloth. Since the grimy masses are so lazy, a wise lord will add substances to their daily communion that ensures obedience and diligence. Once purified and distilled, these truly miraculous plant-based chemicals will make a commoner forget their fatigue and their purposeless pastimes. And once their body is burnt out and withered, they will simply be replaced by a new worker. Now, you see, when you put it that way, you kind of make it sound unethical. But I think it's just a matter of branding. If we pack these things in colorful packages, sell it by the can, I think we're in the clear. So we'll do that instead. Look, I really just want those bonuses, okay? I didn't create this universe, I'm just living in it. I gotta play by their rules. That said, I do like that there are projects that aren't mutually exclusive on the list. The Reaping, A Cure for Sloth, The Secret of the Winter Scales. But then each tier does have at least one mutually exclusive decision. In this case, 2 that are faction-based. Neither of which we qualify for yet, but I'm working on it. And then we also have some orders we can do. This one, which we glanced at before. A band of bold treasure hunters has raided a legendary ship cemetery, the Procession of the Damned. They were able to snatch the ruins of an ancient cruiser from the convoy of shipwrecks, and now the remains of the glorious ship have been put up for auction. Beyond repair though it may be, it is still a giant mountain of plasteel and adamantium. We'll take it. And then... one sec. There we go. We'll immediately roll that plasteel into the Omnissiah's anger. The factory world of Gensark incurred the wrath of the Omnissiah, and has been struck by a major technological disaster. The machine spirits have gone to sleep inside the twisted industrial metalwork and damaged cogitators. The Forge Master needs supplies of materials, and is offering skillful technomats in exchange. Which, in exchange for a modest sum of plasteel, nets us +5 profit factor, and more importantly, +3 efficiency to all of our colonies. So essentially, we're basically paying 2 profit factor per efficiency gain. Which sounds like a good deal to me. And then I think that's all we can do right now. Yeah. But that might change once we get back to exploring. Speaking of which... onward, my friends. Onward. Adventure awaits. During the period designated as the night shift, the air throughout the ship suddenly turned stale. Those who were awake reported feeling incredibly tired. Those who were asleep later reported having horrible nightmares. Senestral Abelard Wersurian was found in his quarters in a trance-like state. He was pacing the room and talked to an unseen interlocutor, asking the same questions over and over. Why won't the fever break? And, does the esteemed Medicus have the faintest idea what he is doing? Then he sat by the bed for a long time, clutching the sleeve of a void suit, and repeating, Everything will be all right, son. With great difficulty, the guards managed to return the Seneschal to his senses. By the order of Senestral Wersurian, the report on this incident has been erased from the ship's logs. The Immaterium released us from its grip. This time. Wow, yeah, that's gotta be rough. As has been established, the really powerful or well-to-do folks in this setting tend to live centuries or even millennia. And I believe Senestral Wersurian is like 300 years old, something in that area. That gives you a lot of time to outlive loved ones. I certainly don't envy him that. Lord Captain, the Vox systems intercepted a distress signal coming from an Imperial vessel. The system contains a ship that belongs to the planetary fleet of Dargonus, the capital of the Von Valancius dynasty. The transmission is repeated at regular intervals, but the message itself is corrupted. A cacophony of requests for help, groans, and shouts. What in the world? It is your name that they are shouting, Lord Captain. Oh my, that is mildly unsettling. Especially since we just got this whole Lord Captain gig like... well, I'm actually not sure how long it's been. But not long, I believe. I mean, technically, I haven't even officially inherited the title. That's supposed to happen, I think, once we actually recover Dargonus. So this does bear investigating. I mean, obviously we'd investigate it anyway. It's a drifting void ship, not a drifting avoid ship. Alright, let's check out this gutted void ship. No guts, no glory. Come on, Heinrichs. Abelard, you have the bridge? That doesn't look too bad. Oh, okay, yeah, that's a bit more what I was expecting. Sometimes I wonder to what extent our perception of the warp differs. I'm glad that I never have to look at it, No offense, Cass, but I'll do just fine without an eyeball in the middle of my forehead. This person's body is covered in unpleasant-looking growths, scabs, and ulcers. They look like fresh mutations. And speaking of mutants... I'm not. Okay, so getting an idea of what happened here. The sweetish smell coming from the dead body seems odd, and the blood has an unusual hue to it. The Cogitator's machine spirits stay silent in an attempt to reach the dead systems of the destroyed ship. Right. So somehow this ship was infected with chaos. Possibly a warp breach or something. I mean, that does seem to happen with alarming frequency in the Expanse. I suppose if they're marked as hostile, there's not really much helping them.
Victory awaits.
Oh, we have a side path. Though I'm really not sure we'd be able to skate by these guys without fighting. That's a pretty narrow gap.
State your intention.
Yeah, we'll just take them out. Sorry, guys. Nothing personal. I just hate what you have become. Wow, he was on the move before I even finished shooting him. But he did not make it far. Though that guy did. Geez, that guy covered like 40 spaces? Okay. Okay. Fortunately, it does appear that they're primarily melee guys. So that does actually make this much, much easier. As long as we don't get overwhelmed. Spitters are probably range. Let's pick them off.
Not a problem for me. Nowhere to hide.
Nice. Enforcer incoming. Man, look at that axe. Whoa, hey now. Okay, that's not ideal. All right, Heinrichs, get in there.
For the throne of glory.
Thank you, Heinrichs. Okay, come on now. Fiskal. Get out of here. Never should have pushed his luck. Guy didn't have a leg to stand on.
My vow is to serve. Request approved.
Nice. Not the direction I thought he'd come from, but he still ended up in the zone, so I'll call that a win.
This tedium is beneath me.
We should probably start paring down that Enforcer. Oof. That guy's a brick.
They who discern the future own the battlefield.
I really should try to make more use of Extermination Mark. But most enemies just die so fast, it almost never ends up mattering. Let's drop that closer guy.
Step aside. The navigator is coming. Isn't this a job for the Serfs?
Running binary compromise. High momentum.
Thank you, Pascal. And Cassie. No one's really injured, so we'll take a pot shot. Sure would be great if Rhett would get back up. Or, you know, he could just keep getting shuffleboarded around. That's cool too. Oh my goodness.
You should have fought better.
Well, now he's definitely not getting back up. Heinrich, buddy, I'm gonna need you over here.
But of course,
That is not at all where I wanted you to go, but okay, sure.
be gone. High momentum.
Oh, here we go. Okay. And momentum.
The Inquisition sends their regards.
Oh. Contents under pressure. Gotcha. And the other guy. That'll hold his attention.
Scriptural process is favorable.
Oh yeah, we have one more spitter. Forgot about that guy. No big deal. Should be an easy kill once we drop the Enforcer. Yeah, we're good. We've got this.
Was that you? Or
Or maybe not. Maybe not.
If it serves your cause.
There we go. Thank you, Yurliet. Heinrich's moving up. Just kind of gliding along the edge of the carpet there.
I won't object.
Ah, you jerk. That knocked him out of charge range, too. Yeah, the elevation levels get weird in this game. Though I do appreciate that they actually do have defined elevations,
Let's see to it.
as opposed to Pathfinder, which did not. I mean, ideally, we'd be working with a three-dimensional grid, one with vertical and horizontal squares, similar to Solasta or Baldur's Gate 3. But I get it, you know, one step at a time.
The Omnissiah knows all, comprehends all.
Ugh, gross. Also, surprisingly, deadly.
I understand your intent.
There we go. Man, that double tap is fantastic. We really should have grabbed that for Idira. But, you know, good to know for the full run. Though, of course, there's no guarantee we'll actually end up using Idira in the launch series. Much like with Wrath and Kingmaker, I'll likely hold a poll to decide which of the various companions should be part of our regular roster, and which ones will just be used for companion quests and such. Though, given the nature of this game, I might do polls to decide which characters live or die as well. I mean, I personally hate killing characters unless they really have it coming, but I do like the raiders to have some say in how these stories go. Wow, those chain axes are actually pretty comparable to an elite chainsword. Slightly higher damage, higher pen. It just loses out on the utility, the parry bonus, and the weapon skill debuff. I mean, we'll stick with the chainsword for now, but that is tempting. Maybe if we find a unique chain axe later down the line. Oh, here we go. We've got a locked container. Aquila pendant. Glory and wisdom imprinted in this symbol inspire courage and righteousness in its wearer, granting +6 to willpower. And of course that'll go straight to Idira. In fact, I think that's perfect for offsetting the... Yes, the -6 malice from that sinister diary she's been toting around. Books and items of luxury. The legality of some of them is questionable, but the Navis Nobilite often turns a blind eye to such diversions. God Emperor, deliver us! Okay. Let's see what's beyond the barricade. Close ranks! Do not let them get to the sarcophagus! I'm glad we just watched that happen. Well, on the bright side, free cargo. The Navigator's Throne. The handles are extremely worn, with visible marks left by nails. Evidence of the terrifying hours spent locked in battle with the power of the warp. Sounds fun? Alright, let's see what we've got here. Nothing all that notable, but cargo is cargo. Let's see what's going on with these guys. The leader of the ravaged ship's crew wipes the sweat from his brow in a motion characteristic of navigators. Not with his whole hand, but with 2 fingers moving from left to right and back, so as not to touch his third eye by accident. This movement is the only sign of fatigue he allows himself. His posture is immaculate, shoulders wide, eyes front, as if he did not just emerge from a grueling battle, and is simply greeting you on the bridge on an uneventful day. My greetings, your lordship. There is no need for introductions. I know the heirs of the Von Valancius line by sight. I am Han of House Cassini, the navigator on this vessel, and as the surviving senior officer, I assumed command after the incident. Lady Navigator, what an unexpected and pleasant meeting, considering the circumstances. Han decorously dips his head to Cassia. I have not had the honor of being personally acquainted with you, but of course I know the emblem of House Orselio. How fares the Honorable Regent? Cassia Orselio. She offers a reserved nod. Cordiality will not disguise the ice-blue coldness of your words, Navigator Han. However, I will tell Regent Toronto that you inquired after his health. You may pass on my best wishes to Novator Cassini. And now let's set the pleasantries aside. I'm sure the rogue traitor would like to ask you a few questions. As Han speaks, others glare at you with dour tension. Up close, you can plainly see that every one of them is a mutant. Their faces and bodies bear the mark of incredibly grotesque deformities, the same as the muttering madmen who attacked you. However, Han's associates seem perfectly clear-eyed, showing no signs of madness. Navigator Han, report. What happened to this ship and its crew? This ship is assigned to the port of Dargonis. Some time ago, the captain was instructed to deliver a package. Urgently, by hand, to you, your lordship. We were even shown a pict of your face. The navigator's voice seems calm, yet there is tension in his eyes, which are trained on you. The disaster struck during the warp jump. I will never know all the details as I was preoccupied with my primary duties, but for some reason the captain decided to open the package. That, as you may have noticed, had a most destructive impact on the crew. Han frowns. The package contained a Chaos artifact, a Chaos bomb, if you will. The moment it was removed from its protective cocoon, the crew began to lose their mind and mutate. The first to be afflicted was the captain and the senior officers, but the effect spread with incredible speed. Every deck was subsumed by it, every last one. The raging mutants, no longer sane, damaged many systems. The ship was in distress and would have almost certainly been destroyed had I not resorted to making an emergency exit from the warp. The people you see here are the only survivors, or rather, the only ones who were able to retain both their lives and sanity. I gathered everyone I could, isolated the source of danger, and sent out a distress signal. We were adrift, waiting for help to come and fighting off mad crew members. Then, you arrived. So this Chaos Bomb, it was meant for me. Who sent it? I am not privy to this information, and I am afraid that no one was, save for the captain, and he can no longer be questioned. All I know is that the order came through the private channels of your trade empire. Han pauses, then adds bluntly, almost brazenly. Your reaction suggests that you were not expecting a package of this sort. That is good to know. I have almost convinced myself that the rogue trader deliberately collects chaos artifacts. I mean, I'm not entirely adverse to it, but I am not yet tainted by chaos, Han, and I knew nothing of this package. I give you my word as the rogue trader. He gives you a searching look, then bows his head. I beg your pardon, your lordship. I saw the terrible death of the entire crew with my own eyes. I was forced to bring the ship out of the warp by means of an emergency maneuver, and then I had to fight my former comrades. Insane and twisted. I am tired. However, that leaves us with only one explanation. Intentional sabotage. Someone wanted all of this. Han makes a sweeping gesture at the destruction and the corpses of crew members around him. To happen to your ship, not ours. Yeah, I'd more or less come to the same conclusion. How are you holding up? Well, that depends. I was born a mutant, you see. Han smiles grimly and wearily. Navigators are taught to resist the influence of chaos, and so I have been, as best I could. But I will be frank with you, I cannot be certain that I have avoided it completely. There have been no visible indications. Yet. All signs point to Han telling the truth. But you also notice clear evidence of just how difficult it is for him to struggle against the corruption. He is extremely tired, practically exhausted. Okay, well that's a good sign. That means he's resisted it thus far, so in theory, if we can get him out of here, he should be fine. In theory. Less certain about the rest of the crew, though. Tell me, Han, where's this artifact now? The tension in his posture and gaze becomes even more noticeable. I have placed it inside a protective sarcophagus, more reliable than the previous repository. Unfortunately, an artifact as powerful as this one could not be destroyed under these circumstances. Or rather, I had no assurances that it would not disintegrate every one of us and scatter us across several light hours of neighboring space. But once we are off the ship, I will absolutely find a way to destroy the vile thing. Interesting. So he's either reluctant to destroy it, or he's reluctant to hand it to us because he still doesn't trust us. And to be fair, it does look like at least half these options are to try to preserve it. I could definitely see several players doing that. A bit too hazardous for my taste, though. We'll rig the ship to blow, leave the artifact behind, and destroy both in one fell swoop. Your words give Han pause, but he seems convinced. He relaxes a little, but then asks, cautiously, as if testing the waters. What about me and the crew? Will you take us with you? That is a very valid concern given the circumstances. And like I said before, Han seems like he'd be fine, but that one surviving soldier was clearly mutated and could degenerate further over time. So unfortunately, as much as I like trying to help people, I'm not sure we can help him. You may come with me, but the remnants of the crew must be terminated. I'm afraid these people are beyond salvation. They have already been corrupted. Han jerks his chin up. These are my people. We lived through this nightmare together. I am responsible for them. All of us leave this ship, or none of us do. You know what? I respect that. And if you are willing to take responsibility for them, then you know what? Sure, I'll take a chance. Very well, Han. I respect your commitment to your men. I'll take you aboard my ship. Thank you. Han salutes you before adding, Lord Captain. Yeah, well, just don't make me regret it. I do like the idea of a happy ending, but this is not a setting that is generally compatible with those. I am not seeing any way to rig this thing to blow. Maybe it'll just happen on our way out, or maybe we have to set something up on our way out. Or maybe it's just unfinished, because this is, after all, an alpha, which honestly I keep forgetting because it's so well put together already. It is actually kind of remarkable, because both of the Pathfinder games, Kingmaker and Wrath, were a lot buggier than this, even after launch. So, I mean, this game is really smooth thus far, aside from the very occasional obvious unfinished content. And some minor performance issues, I suppose, but those never really bugged me much. Alright, well, I'm not seeing any way to blow this thing up, so we'll just chalk that up as an oddity of the alpha. Move on. But, I will poke at it a bit off-screen just in case. For now, we'll move on to the next sector. See what other trouble we can get ourselves into. Looks like we're headed to Silence of Mer Segret. Slightly more dangerous route, that's a 2 skull. And it's heading top right. So it might actually loop back around to the Cradle of Khepri. Interesting. Alright, we'll burn some insight to make this safer. Acolytes of the cult Mechanicus have reported a disturbing incident. All Vox systems on the middle deck started broadcasting otherworldly sounds, whistling a haunting melody. The strains of monstrous music drove people into a frenzied dance that could not be stopped. Several hours later, the Vox devices fell silent, and the dancing crew members fell lifeless. The area was cleared, and the bodies of the deceased were disposed of with the necessary precautions. The Immaterium released us from its grip. This time. Boy. Even the safe trips are very decidedly unsafe. Okay, looks pretty straightforward. Let's check these planets out real quick. Power crystals. 9. I think we actually need those for a couple of different projects. And then we also have a loot stash. Archaeotech Mechanism Fragment. Surviving piece of an Archaeotech mechanism of unknown purpose, discovered on an ancient Imperial vessel in the Silence of Mer Segret. Very intriguing. That certainly sounds like an important item, but we have no real context. Right, okay. So, nothing really of note in the entry. I guess we'll just have to keep an eye out for more info. Or for more fragments. Maybe it's just as simple as finding enough fragments to rebuild whatever it's supposed to be. I could have sworn we already did some of these. Anyway, what did we need power crystals for? Oh yeah, there we go. Good tidings. So that one needs 5 crystals. As does Dark Sages, which we actually have almost everything for, except for the reputation with Kasbalika, which we're not far off on. I ground that up a bit last time we were in Footfall, so we're just a couple thousand points short. Oh man, and that grants us plus 10 to Xenos lore. And I'm assuming some sort of combat bonus against Xenos and extra profit factor, so that's definitely worth doing once we can do it. Promethium, nice. That brings us up to 14. Ash World. Nothing. Yeah, that tracks. Did we, I think we had an order for Promethium, right? Let me double check that. We did indeed. Lashing the Void. 12 Promethium for 5 security and 5 profit factor. That's not a bad trade-off at all. At the Departamento Munitorum, Officio Tactica analysts have noted an increase in pirate attacks. The Imperial Navy is planning on conducting a large-scale operation to eradicate the outlaws, but stocking up a sufficient amount of fuel has proven difficult. Yeah, we'll do it. Extra security is certainly welcome. Aside from just making our colony safer, that also meets additional prereqs for other projects. Let's hit one more sector. And yes, that is definitely taking us around to the right. Shoot, I was really hoping it would actually branch and connect to this side as well, but I guess that's Telecos Epsilon. Which is actually a better fork point, because that's where we've got Janus. It was discovered that one of the smaller vats in Engine Hall 5, which should have been filled with wastewater, instead contained a liquid that looked like blood. This incident was deemed not to be of serious concern, and everything went back to normal as soon as the ship returned to real space. You know what? Proportionately speaking, I would indeed consider that to be a relatively harmless event. Especially in light of that dance of death we recently went through. And we've got a marauded void station surrounded by hostile pirate ships. That seems promising. We'll clear the planets at least. Set the stage for some proper pirate action next time. Nothing on Snow World. What about Cracked World?
I am detecting traces of magmatic rock extraction. Judging by the methods of sacred geometry used for cutting open the formations, this is the work of my explorator brethren.
Oh, well, very intriguing, thank you. It was very nice of them to leave us 9 plasteel. Which, of course, does not get us to what we need for that last project. We are once again one plasteel short. Hecutor Pattern Plasma Battery. Long-range broadside plasma macro cannons which fire 3 shots, dealing 19 damage per shot. Equipment to work in progress, right. Yeah, a few folks have pointed out to me that, sadly, the ship system is definitely one of the incomplete aspects of the game, at least in the current alpha state. So we're stuck on our default loadout for the ship, at least until the beta. Yeah. We'll hit this last world, then I think we're at a good place to stop. Nine provisions and an event. Okay. Well, we are amassing quite a stockpile of provisions, but we have yet to find much to really do with them. The chilly and windy planet is covered by a raging sea of mustard gray grass so tall it reaches an average Imperial subject's waist. The monotony of the endless steppe is occasionally broken by chains of murky green lakes, but the Augur crew spots a far more interesting anomaly. A running scar several dozen kilometers deep, splitting the world's equator in two. After a full day of exploration, the crew intercepts a faint signal coming from one of the labor settlements in the deep chasm. Due to the unstable connection, the foreman mistakes your vessel for a Winterscale Dynasty one, and asks what the reason for a delay of 9 cycles was. The man grimly reports on the nearly depleted adamantium ore deposits. The planet will be fully mined out in less than a decade, which is why he suggests moving some of the workers to a different mine with the upcoming supply ship. At some point, the connection breaks, and you leave the foreman and his prospectors to wait for their real master. Interesting. Right, which does match up with some of the other things we've read about Winterscale. They certainly seem to be struggling, dropping off random refugees on other planets, abandoning various outposts and settlements. Sounds like we are far from the only rogue trader dynasty having difficulty in the Coronis Expanse. Though, I do find it curious we couldn't try to scam these guys or recruit them or anything. You'd think we could have eked some adamantium or people out of the deal. Possibly by trading them supplies. I mean, again, we have no shortage of provisions. It certainly would be nice to have more to do with them. Anyway, we are obviously past time, so this is a good place to call it. We'll hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping, and we will pick up here next time as we investigate the marauded Void Station. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who helped make these videos possible, including but not limited to Dragon Matrix 7, Matthew Smith, Revenant, Eloise, Drakith, Theory V23, Egon Alter, Emil, Excelsior, Gottlieb, James Tremier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., Overlord Ferrum, Random Passerby, Robbie B., Thomas Piatkowski, Trip Oppenskip, and Valenrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.